Man, you want to know my story? All right, sit down, because this ain't no fairy tale. My name's Ezekiel Jackson. Folks call me Zeke. And I'm 73 years old now, living in a little house in Cincinnati, Ohio in 2024. Got a bad knee, a few scars, and a heart that's carried more pain than a man should. I'm black, born and raised in the West End, a rough patch of Cincy back in the 50s. You want to talk about racism? I lived it, breathed it, felt it in my bones every damn day. And the worst of it? The night they took my daddy, beat him until he was gone, all because he was black and dared to stand tall. That's the story you're getting, raw as it comes, because I ain't sugarcoating nothing. I was born in 51, grew up in a clapboard house on Poplar Street, 5 of us kids, mama cooking greens, daddy working double shifts at the steel mill. West End was black, poor, and proud, but the world outside our block, it was a jungle and we were the prey. I was 8 when I first felt it, real clear. Walking home from school, a white cop, big fella, red face, stopped me, said, "Boy, what you stealing?" I wasn't stealing nothing, just carrying my books, but he patted me down, hard, his hands like he was looking for a reason to hurt me. I was shaken, didn't say a word, because Daddy taught me, keep your mouth shut, Zeke, or they'll make it worse. That cop let me go, but his eyes said I was dirt. That was my first lesson. Being black meant you were guilty till proven dead. School wasn't no better. I went to Lincoln Elementary, mostly black kids, but the white teachers, they'd look at you like you were a problem waiting to happen. Miss Carter, my 3rd grade teacher, she'd call me slow in front of the class, even when I knew the answers. One time I raised my hand, gave the right answer. 12 times 4 is 48. And she said, "Don't get cocky, Ezekiel." Cocky? I was 9. The white kids, they'd snicker, call me charcoal in the halls, and if I pushed back, I'd get detention, not them. By 5th grade, I stopped raising my hand. Learned quick, keep your head down or they'll knock it off. But home? Home was where Daddy made it right. His name was Jeremiah, big man, hands like hammers from the mill, but soft when he hugged us. He'd sit me on his knee, tell stories about his daddy, who worked the railroads, said, "Zeke, we're iron, not rust. They can't break us." He'd sing gospel, voice deep like a river, and I'd feel safe. Mama, she'd pray, saying, "Lord, keep my babies whole." But the world outside didn't care about prayers. Daddy walked to work because we couldn't afford a car, and white folks yell from their trucks, "Go back to Africa," or worse. One time I saw a man spit at him, right on his coat, and Daddy just wiped it off, kept walking. I was 10, and I hated him for not fighting back, but now I know. He was fighting, just to keep us fed. By 66, I was 15, and the West End was boiling. Riots had hit Cincy a year before, folks fed up with cops beating us, jobs passing us by, houses falling apart, while white neighborhoods got paved roads. I worked after school at Mr. Ellis's corner store, stocking shelves, sweeping floors. Mr. Ellis was black, old, kind, but even he got it. White delivery guys at short his orders say, "You don't need all that." Customers, mostly black, were cool, but white folks coming in from downtown, they'd clutch their wallets, watch me like I'd rob them. One guy, big redneck type, said, "Boy, don't touch my change," when I handed him coins. I was 15, working for my family, and he saw a thief. That's when I started feeling it deep. Ain't no amount of "yes, sir" gonna make you human in their eyes. Daddy kept me grounded, but he was changing. He started talking about rights, reading papers about Dr. King saying, "Zeke, we gotta stand up, not just take it." He joined a union at the mill, pushed for better pay, safer work. That made him a target. White workers didn't like a black man speaking up, called him uppity, and worse. I'd hear him at the store whispering about teaching him a lesson. I didn't know what it meant, but I saw Daddy's eyes get harder, his steps heavier. He'd come home late, his knuckles raw, saying, "Just a long day, Zeke." But I knew he was fighting battles I couldn't see. Then came 69. I was 18, working full-time at the store, saving for a car. The West End was a powder keg, cops patrolling like an army, gangs like the Iron Skulls running corners, and white folks moving out, leaving us to rot. Daddy was 42, still at the mill, still pushing the union. One night, July 17th, I was closing the store when Mama called, voice shaken. "Zeke, get home, it's your daddy." I ran, heart pounding, through streets thick with summer heat. Got to our house, saw Mama on the porch, crying. Neighbors gathered. Daddy was gone. They found him in an alley off Lynn Street, beat to death, his face smashed, ribs broken, wallet still in his pocket. Wasn't no robbery. Word was, the Iron Skulls, a white gang tied to mill workers, did it. They hated Daddy for his union talk, for being black and bold. Cops didn't care, called it gang trouble, closed the case in a week. I saw his body at the morgue, his hands still curled like he fought till the end. I was 18, and my world burned down. That night I sat on our stoop, Mama sobbing inside, neighbors whispering. I wanted to kill him, the Skulls, the cops, anyone who looked at us wrong. But Daddy's voice was in my head. We're iron, Zeke. I didn't fight, because I had to keep Mama and my siblings alive. I worked double at the store, took night shifts, buried my pain. But the racism didn't stop. It was in every cop's stare, every white customer's sneer, every job I couldn't get. I was black and Carver Heights was my cage, but I kept going, because that's what Daddy would have done. You want more? All right, I'll keep talking, but don't expect no happy endings. I'm Ezekiel Jackson, Zeke to most, 73 years old, sitting here in Cincinnati, Ohio, November 2024, my knees creaking and my heart still heavy from a life that didn't give me no breaks. I told you about my daddy, Jeremiah, beat to death in '69 by the Iron Skulls, a white gang who hated him for being black and speaking up at the mill. That was the start of my real education. Losing him at 18 taught me the world ain't kind to folks like us. But losing Daddy wasn't the end of the pain. The years after, through the '70s, they carved me up, left scars deeper than the ones on my knuckles. Racism wasn't just a word. It was the air I breathed, the fist in my face, the boot on my neck. Let me take you back, because you gotta feel it to know it. After Daddy's murder, I was the man of the house, 18, with Mama and 4 siblings to feed. West End Cincinnati was a war zone. Cops prowling like wolves, gangs like the Skulls, and black cats owning corners, and white folks leaving us to rot in boarded-up houses. I worked double shifts at Mr. Ellis's corner store, stocking cans, mopping floors, saving every dime to keep the lights on. Mama prayed harder, her Bible worn thin, but her eyes were empty, like Daddy's death took half her soul. I'd come home at midnight, bones aching, and see her at the kitchen table whispering, "Lord, keep Zeke safe." Safe. Ain't no safe in the West End when you're black. Every step was a gamble. Cops had stopped me saying, "Boy, where you going?" Like I didn't belong on my own street. One time, 70, I was 19. A cop, same red-faced bastard from when I was a kid, slammed me against a wall, said, "You look like a thief." I wasn't carrying nothing but groceries, but he cuffed me, left me in a cell for 6 hours, no charge, just 'cause he could. That was the game. Keep you scared, keep you small. Work was its own hell. Mr. Ellis was good, but the store was a magnet for trouble. White delivery guys had short us on bread, milk, saying, "Y'all don't need that much." Customers? Black folks were family, but white ones coming in from downtown? They'd watch me like I'd slipped their wallet. One dude, 71, big guy with a trucker hat, bought a pack of smokes, then said, "Don't short me, boy," when I gave him change. I was 20, working to keep my family alive, and he saw a crook. I wanted to smash his face, but Mr. Ellis taught me, "Swallow it, Zeke. They want you to swing so they can lock you up." So I swallowed it, but it burned every damn time. The streets weren't no kinder. The Iron Skulls, them white boys who killed Daddy, still ran parts of the West End, their bikes roaring past, their eyes daring you to look back. I'd see them at gas stations, laughing, spitting, calling me nigger under their breath. I kept my head down, but it ate me up. Black gangs like the Cats were rising too, and they'd press me saying, "Join us, Zeke, or you're soft." I didn't join. Daddy raised me to work, not fight. But that didn't stop the trouble. In '72, I was 21, walking home from the store, when 3 Skulls cornered me on Elm Street. "Your daddy didn't learn," one said, his breath sour with beer, his knife glinting. I didn't have no weapon, just my fists. They swung, I swung back, caught one in the jaw, blood spraying, but the other 2 got me down, boots slamming my ribs, knife nicking my arm. I fought like hell, broke a nose, but they left me bleeding on the pavement, laughing as they walked off. A neighbor, Miss Clara, dragged me home, patched me up, but I didn't tell Mama. She'd lost enough. School was done for me by then. I dropped out at 18 to work full-time, but my siblings were still in it, and they got hit hard. My little brother Tommy, 14 and 73, came home with a black eye, said white kids at Taft High called him Monkey, jumped him after class. Teachers didn't care, said, "Boys will be boys." My sister Lena, 16, got detention for talking back when a white teacher called her sassy for asking a question. I tried to protect him, told him, "Stay strong like daddy," but I was drowning myself. The West End was a cage and racism was the bars. Cops, gangs, teachers, all playing the same game. Keep us low, keep us scared. By 75, I was 24, still at the store, but I started driving a delivery truck part-time, trying to save for something better. That's when I saw how deep the poison ran. I delivered to white neighborhoods, big houses, clean streets, and folks had locked their doors when I pulled up. One lady, 76, wouldn't take her package, said, "I don't trust you people." I was 25, working 2 jobs, and she saw a thug. Downtown, white bosses watched me unload, say, "Don't dawdle, boy," like I was lazy. One time, a foreman, fat guy, cigar stink, accused me of stealing a crate, docked my pay $50. I didn't steal nothing, but he didn't need proof. That's how it was. Black meant guilty, no questions asked. The worst came in 78. I was 27, living with mama, still in the West End, still driving that truck. The skulls were bolder, riding through our streets, smashing windows, yelling slurs. One night, August 3rd, I was walking home when I saw smoke. Our block was burning. The skulls had torched a neighbor's car, left a brick through Miss Clara's window with "nigger" scratched on it. I ran, heart pounding, found mama safe, but Tommy, 19 now, wasn't. He'd been at a friend's, got caught by the skulls. They beat him bad, broke his arm, split his skull. He lived, but he ain't been right since. His eyes distant, like part of him stayed in that alley. Cops? They called it kids fighting. Didn't arrest nobody. I held mama as she cried, my fists itching to burn the skull's hideout. But I didn't. I worked, paid Tommy's hospital bills, kept the family together. That's what iron does. It bends but don't break. You want to know how I survived? I didn't have no choice. Every day was a fight. Cops, gangs, white folks looking at you like trash, but Daddy's voice stayed with me. We're iron, Zeke. I worked, loved my family, kept my head up, even when it felt like drowning. The racism never stopped. It was in the jobs I didn't get, the cops who followed me, the world that said I wasn't enough. But I'm still here, scarred but standing. And that's my story, raw as it gets. You still listening? Good, because I ain't done. My name's Ezekiel Jackson. Zeke to anybody who knows me. 73 years old, sitting here in Cincinnati, Ohio, November 2024, with a bad knee and a heart that's carried enough hurt to sink a ship. I told you about my daddy, Jeremiah, beat dead in 69 by the Iron Skulls, white trash who hated him for being black and bold. I told you about the 70s, how I worked myself to the bone at Mr. Ellis's store, driving trucks, taking punches from cops and gangs, all to keep mama and my siblings alive. But the 80s? Man, they were a different kind of hell. The West End was still a cage, racism was still the bars, and every day was a fight to keep from breaking. I'm gonna lay it out raw as it was, because that's how I lived it. No heroes, no plans, just me trying to hold on. By 80, I was 29, still in the West End, still hustling. Mama was gone by then. Heart gave out in 79. Too much grief from losing Daddy and seeing Tommy. My brother, never right after the skulls beat him in 78. I was the anchor for what was left. Tommy, 25, living with me, quiet, eyes distant. Lena, 23, working as a cleaner, and the younger ones, Sarah and Junior, in their teens, still in school. I'd moved us to a better house on Central Avenue, a little less broken, but the rent ate half my pay. I was driving delivery trucks full-time now, quit the store when Mr. Ellis passed in 79. The trucking job paid okay, but it was a grind. Long hauls, white bosses barking, and every stop a reminder I was black in a world that didn't want me. The racism, it was like breathing smoke. I'd pull into white neighborhoods, nice lawns, big porches, and folks would stare, lock their cars, cross the street. One time, 81, I was unloading crates in Hyde Park, fancy part of Cincy, and a lady, blonde, pearls, called the cops, said I looked suspicious. I was in a company uniform, name tag and all, but 2 cops rolled up, hands on their guns, asking, "What you doing here, boy?" I showed my ID, my work order, kept my voice low, but they cuffed me anyway. Said I matched a description. sat in their cruiser for an hour sweating while they checked. Let me go with a warning, no apology. I was 30, working to feed my family, and they saw a criminal. That's how it was. Every day, a new cut. Work was a battlefield. My boss, Mr. Callahan, white guy with a cigar habit, didn't hide his contempt. He'd say, "Zeke, don't slack," when I was hauling twice the load of white drivers. In '82, I asked for a raise. Been driving 3 years, no accidents, best record in the crew. Callahan laughed, said, "You're lucky to have a job, boy." Boy, I was 31, and that word still burned. White drivers got raises, promotions, easy routes. Me? I got night shifts, heavy loads, and docked pay if a crate was miscounted. One time, '83, a white coworker, Jimmy, stole my delivery log, turned it in as his. I called him out and Callahan docked my pay, said, "Don't stir trouble." I swallowed it because Lena needed medicine and Tommy's therapy wasn't cheap. But it festered every damn day. The West End was no safer. The Iron Skulls were still around. Older but meaner, their bikes roaring through our streets, smashing bottles, yelling slurs. Black gangs like the Black Cats were bigger now, fighting the Skulls for turf, and I got caught in the crossfire. In '84, I was 33, walking home from a late shift when 2 Skulls jumped me on Vine Street. "Still here, nigger," one said, his breath reeking of whiskey, his fist swinging. I fought back, broke his nose, dodged a knife, but the other cracked a bottle on my head, glass cutting my scalp. I went down, boots slamming my ribs, till a neighbor, old Mr. Hayes, fired a shotgun in the air, scaring him off. I limped home, blood in my eyes, didn't tell nobody. Lena stitched me up, crying, but I said, "I'm fine." I wasn't. My ribs hurt for weeks, but I kept driving, kept paying bills, because that's what you do when you're iron. My siblings got it bad too. Tommy, he tried working at a warehouse, but white coworkers hassled him, called him half-wit because of his head injury. He quit after a month, stayed home, drawing pictures of Daddy. Lena, cleaning houses, got fired from a rich white home in '85. Lady said she didn't trust her around jewelry. Sarah, 17, was in high school, came home crying because her white teacher said her essay on Black history was too angry. Junior, 15, got jumped by white kids after school. His ghetto slur a bruise deeper than the punches. I'd sit him down, say, "You're strong like Daddy," but my words felt hollow. The West End was a trap, and racism was the wire. Cops, gangs, bosses, all pulling it tight. The streets got bloodier. In '86, I was 35, still driving trucks, when the Skulls hit again. They torched a black-owned bar on Clark Street, 2 blocks from us, left nigger spray-painted on the wall. I was dropping off a load when I saw the flames, heard folks screaming. Cops stood by watching, no arrests. That night, Tommy, 31, went missing. I searched till dawn, heart pounding, found him in an alley beaten, his arm broke again. He'd wandered too close to Skull's turf, and they jumped him, yelling, "Your brother's next!" I carried him home, his blood on my shirt, Mama's prayers echoing in my head. Cops didn't care, said, "Stay out of trouble." I wanted to burn their precinct, but I worked, paid Tommy's bills, kept the family alive. That's what iron does. It holds, even when it's cracking. You ask how I kept going? Wasn't no choice. Racism was everywhere. Every cop's glare, every boss's sneer, every fist that came for me or mine. But Daddy's voice, "We're iron, Zeke," was louder. I worked, raised my siblings, buried my pain. The Skulls, the cops, the white world, they wanted me broken, but I wasn't. I'm still here, telling you this, scars and all, because that's what surviving looks like. Ain't pretty, but it's mine. You still here listening to an old man ramble? Good, because I'm finishing this and it's gonna cut deep. I'm Ezekiel Jackson, Zeke, 73 years old, sitting in my little house in Cincinnati, Ohio, November 2024, my hands scarred, my heart heavier than a millstone. I told you about my daddy Jeremiah, beaten dead in '69 by the Iron Skulls, white trash who couldn't stand a black man standing tall. I told you about the '70s, working myself raw at Mr. Ellis's store, driving trucks, taking fists from cops and gangs to keep my family alive. The '80s were no kinder, cops, Skulls, bosses, all trying to break me, while I held Mama, Tommy, and the kids together. But the '90s, they tested me till I thought I'd snap, and beyond that, I had to find a way to live with it all. This is the end of my story, raw as the blood I spilled, because that's how it was. Racism, pain, and iron in my bones. By 89, I was 38, still in the West End, still driving that damn delivery truck, hauling crates for white bosses who looked at me like dirt. Mama was gone, Tommy was a ghost, living with me but barely talking. His mind half broke from the skulls beaten in '78. Lena was cleaning houses, Sarah was in college, trying to be a nurse, and Junior was 19, working at a diner, dodging trouble. I'd moved us to a house on Dayton Street, a bit better, but the rent was a chain, and the West End was still a war zone. Crack was hitting hard, gangs like the Black Cats and Skulls fighting over corners, and cops patrolling like we were all criminals. I was tired, man, bone tired, but Daddy's voice, "We're iron, Zeke," kept me moving. I wasn't fighting for me no more. It was for them, my family, the only thing I had left. The racism didn't let up. It was like living in a storm that never stopped. I drive to white suburbs, East End, Oakley, delivering appliances, and folks would watch me like I'd rob them. One time, 90, I was unloading a fridge in Mount Lookout, nice houses, green lawns, and a guy, suit, glasses, said, "You don't belong here," right to my face. I was 39 in a company shirt, doing my job, and he saw a threat. I wanted to smash his teeth, but I said, "Yes, sir," and kept working. That's what you did, swallowed the poison, because spitting it back meant losing everything. My boss, Callahan, was worse. In '91, I asked for a supervisor spot. 5 years driving, no mistakes. He said, "Zeke, you're good for hauling, not leading." White guys, half my experience, got the job. I took it, because Sarah's tuition was due, but it burned every damn day. The streets were a slaughterhouse. The skulls were fading, but new gangs, white, black, mixed, took their place, and the West End was a bloodbath. In '92, I was 41, coming home from a night shift when 4 punks, white kids, Skulls wannabes, jumped me on Ray Street. "Nigger, you still here?" one said, his bat swinging. I fought back, my fist cracking a jaw, but they got me down, bat hitting my ribs, boots stomping my leg. I broke one's nose, sent another running, but my knee's been bad since, bone grinding bone. Miss Clara, same neighbor who saved me in '72, pulled me inside, stitched my head. I didn't tell Lena, she'd worry, but I missed a week's work, no pay. Cops? They didn't come. That's the West End. Fight or die, and nobody cares. My family was taking hits too. Tommy, 37, tried a factory job, but white workers hazed him, hid his tools, called him retard. He quit, stayed home, drawing Daddy's face over and over. Lena, 30, got fired from a cleaning gig in '93. White lady said she smelled funny, a lie to mask her bias. Sarah, 22, was in nursing school, but her white classmates shunned her, said her accent was too urban. Junior, 21, got arrested for loitering outside his diner, cops planting a joint on him. I paid his bail, $500, scraping every cent. School was hell for him. Junior got jumped by white kids, his ghetto slur a bruise. Sarah's teacher failed her project, saying it was too aggressive. I'd tell him, "You're iron like Daddy," but my voice was breaking because I was barely holding on. The worst came in '95. I was 44, still driving when Lena got hurt. She was cleaning a house in Clifton, rich white area, and the owner's son, some punk, 20, grabbed her, said, "You're pretty for a black girl." She pushed him off and he hit her, broke her jaw. Cops called it a misunderstanding, no charges. Lena came home, face swollen, spirit cracked. I held her, my fist shaking, and wanted to find that kid and end him. But I didn't. I worked, paid her bills, kept the family fed. That's what iron does. It carries the load, even when it's crushing you. By '98, I was 47, married now to Ella, a good woman, a teacher, who gave me 2 kids, Malik and Tasha. We moved to Avondale, a step up, but the racism followed. I got a job at a warehouse loading crates, but white coworkers had sabotaged my work, hide my pallets, call me lazy to the boss. One time, '99, a foreman, big guy, Confederate tattoo, said, "You're too slow, boy," and docked my pay $100. I was 48, outworking kids half my age, and he saw a slave. I kept working, for Malik's shoes, Tasha's books, Ella's smile. The West End was quieter, gangs shifting, but cops still stopped me, saying, "You look familiar," their hands on their guns. My kids got it too. Malik, 7, got called nigger at school. Tasha, 5, had her braid pulled by a white girl, teacher blaming her. How'd I make it through? Daddy's voice. "We're iron, Zeke." I worked, loved my family, took the hits. Racism was a storm. Cops, gangs, bosses, neighbors, all raining blows. But I stood, scarred and bent, for Mama, Daddy, Tommy, Lena, my kids. I'm 73 now, still here telling you this because it ain't just my story. It's every black soul who fought to breathe. Share it, carry it, let it burn through the dark, because we're iron and we don't rust. That's my truth, raw as it gets, and I ain't ashamed of a single scar.